Hi everybody, and welcome back to Compton Shenanigans. Today we're going to be working on orange. Here in a little bit we're going to run it. You're going to see all of what's wrong with it. I believe we have to put new piston rings. I think they're worn out. We're going to go ahead and start it up as is. Probably put some new gas in it, because this gas has been in there for a couple years, and gas today does not keep well. So we'll throw a little bit of new fuel in it, and we will get started getting it started for you guys, so you can see what it's doing and what we're going to do about it. Should be a good video. Stay tuned. Well, so I was getting ready to start. Replaced some gas with some, well, emptied out the fuel, mixed it up with some gas that's maybe 6 months newer. Put it back in, and then checked for oil, and yeah, we got oil. We got a mess to clean up. Yeah, but we got oil. We're good. Alright, hold on just a second. I'll get it turning and get it fired up so you can see what it's doing. Cleaning up the mess. It just poured out. That part of the floor won't rust. Alright, well, before we like officially start it up and try to feed it fuel and starter fluid or whatever to get it started, we're going to let it turn a couple times. It's sat for a while. We're going to let it kind of self-lube. I do not have the pull string for it. I broke it, so we're going to use the drill. There we go. Alright, where's my... I'm going to use a 7/8 socket to 7/8 socket started in the forward motion. So this is, if it does kick over, it's going to want to throw the drill. So I got to be ready to back off as fast as I can, and hopefully not get this caught up, cord caught up in it at the same time. I'll try to hold on to that. Hold on to the drill, hold on to this. We just give it a couple slow turns and try to get it oiled up a little bit. There we go. Everything should be lubed up. So we'll apply the choke. This is the only carb I got that, you know, still has everything. It works. Yeah, we'll give it a couple more turns, and we'll see what it's doing. See all that smoke? That's why we're going to be working on it. But it does fire up, it does work, but it does smoke a lot. It's a smoker. It's going to bingo. So we're, you know, it fires up, it runs great. It's a good, powerful little motor, but man, it's smoking so bad. I believe its piston rings wore out, so I've got a new set sitting here. That's the number right there. I heard that they're discontinuing, and it's all old stock, so this might be close to the end for the 5-horse Briggs. I guess if I would have touched the wire to the spark plug, it would have stopped. I don't know. But I'm going to let it cool down for a second. I'm sure it didn't heat up a whole lot, but yeah, the exhaust is kind of warm to the touch. And motor's kind of warm to the touch. So we'll let it cool down for a little bit. We'll pull the gas, drain the oil, and then we'll start getting ready for piston disassembly. So we won't have to, we'll have to take the sump cover off, so I have some new gaskets that should go back on in case I tear it. We have to take the head off here, spark plug off. I think this shield is connected to the top here, so this will come off. I don't think we'll have to take the carb or the exhaust off in order to do this work, so that will stay on. Other than that, yeah. Alright, so we're going to let this cool down, and I will see you here in a little bit for an overhead shot. Alright, save on some oil. That oil looked really good when it did pour out. We're going to catch it in this empty can and try to save on it. It'll be good for the break-in oil. I'm sure their rings are going to need it. So, just going to pop that off right there. Oop. That ain't good. Alright, so maybe it's not the best oil in the world. Yeah, it looks like it's got some water in it. That's not good. I also got a catch can under this in case it does, you know, need to catch any of it. Ugh. I mean, it might just be really, really, really new oil. It still feels like really good oil. That didn't quite work. Alright, so it's maybe not ready. Come on. Every time I let it go, it just gets tighter. I don't know why. Probably because you guys are watching. I think we got it this time, though. Yeah. Alright. Catch can ready, and let's not drop this one. Go! That's not the worst looking oil I've seen. There's some little streaks of dirt, carbon or whatever sitting in there, but for the most part it's done. Oh yeah. That would be good for braking. Oil. At least I hope. Still feels like it's smoky in here. We'll put this back in so we don't forget to put it in. My Patreons will remember that time from the engine rebuild that I just I think I'll remove this cover while you're here. And we know we're going to be making a mess no matter what. So got you right there. And I don't have a clue what size those are. We'll get our feeler gauge out, and it's bigger than whatever the biggest size on our feeler gauge is, and that's going to be the infamous Floss 10mm. So it's probably ½ inch, maybe. Alright, let's get a wrench out, figure out what it is. Let's try an 11. Alright, 11 to work. So, I'm not going to use this side of the wrench, I'll use this side of the wrench. Because all those little splines will probably strip this out. This hasn't been taken off since it's been painted. See? Paint's coming off. That worked. Alright. I'm going to start this one. Oh, and by the way, that's rain. I wasn't even going to come out here and do this. But the weather's been rain. And if I didn't come out here and do this, then their stuff would never get done. And we're kind of loose. That was tough. Alright, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 loose. I got these 2 at the bottom to get. Tell you what, we'll take a short break, let the rain calm down. We'll drain the gas so we can turn this motor over. So we'll see you in a minute. Alright, we got all the bolts off. We use our trusty pry bar, and we will use the rubber mallet. We will kind of crack this free and get it off. That way we have access to the pistons. We got to take the piston off the crank to get the rings out. So we'll give it a couple whacks, left and right, and then we'll work on prying it forward. Looks like there's some exhaust gases in there, you know? think we go on here. Get it off the shaft. There we go. I kind of knew that this gasket would rip and tear because every one of them has always ripped and torn. So we'll save that for comparison on the new one. And we'll try to get the rest off without clean it. Alright, well, the inside of the case, that looks very clean. Very good. Except for a little bit on the bottom. So what's settled. Still raining like crazy out. Bring you guys in for a closer look. Oh, you see this? See that? That is for if it was geared for reverse, then the reverse would come out of here. But, or no, yeah. No, it would come out of here. So I don't know what that is for sure. I know it's a rubber plug. That's the first time I've ever seen that. That's kind of neat. Alright. Go off to the side. You guys can get a closer look. I'll put the light in here. You can see what's going on. Got some sludge in the bottom, but I mean, can't tell you how many years old this is. I know it's old enough to have a reverse. We'll have to remember the orientation of the oil pickup. Right. Have to remember the orientation of that oil pickup tube. Oh, it's hard to do this thing. This thing here. Have to remember that it's facing out towards this way. Well, the back one is. And it should be oriented like flat the whole time. So if you get it on wrong, it'll be at an angle. Alright. So this gives us access to the bolts for the crank, for the piston. There's not a whole lot of play in it. A little bit. That's good. And we're not going to remove the crank, flywheel, or none of that. We're just going to remove this, pull the piston up and out. I have to find an itty bitty little thing for that. Might have to break out the vice grip to get that out. There it goes. But anyway, I'm going to put you guys into like hyperspeed until I get... I'm guessing that bolt was the only thing holding that on. I'm going to put you guys into hyper fast mode. Fast forward. Mainly because it's raining and the audio sucks. And hopefully by the time we get this all torn off, it's not raining no more. Maybe. is coming down. Hard to get any good audio or anything went. Yeah, it sure is coming down. A little bit. Got a little leaker. Should have a couple more with as much rain as we had. So anyway, pardon the noise, loud out there. So there's plenty of oil sitting on top of this piston. This engine did not sit any way except for the way it's sitting now, horizontally. Or vertically, sorry. No horizontal, always vertical. That oil that's sitting on top of that piston, you know, that's probably from the rings pushing oil up and not scraping it back down. So we got our new set of rings out here. We got our two really thin rings that go on the top and bottom of that oiler ring, and then we have two rings. I don't know if we can focus or not. You can see that it says top, and then this other one also says top, and you can see by the profile. I mean, I'll have to take a closer look outside the camera, but one of them's got kind of a curve down from the top, and one of them's kind of got a curve up from the top. And the instructions will let me know which one's which. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the piston, show you guys what the rings look like before we change them. Apparently, before there was Loctite, the practice of bending those tabs over to lock those bolts in so they don't come loose is proving to be a little bit of an issue. So, I'm going to have you guys on pause until I figure this one out, figure out how to get that off. So after quite a bit of prying, I was able to get these loose, and I understand why they did it. These things were torqued almost to nothing. Leads me to believe that this might be aluminum, as to guess on the edge of the end, and it really didn't take anything to get these out. Like the lowest torque setting in the world. So I have to remember that when I go back in to bend those tabs back. Otherwise, might have a really bad time. Like literally almost finger tight. So, learn something new every day. Okay, I get it. So, say I got this apart, I bend that tab again, it might break off. So, the next time I install it this way and bend them back to lock the bolts in. So I could use it twice. I just won't use this side. I'll flatten it out. I'll bend this corner here. Alright. So we'll keep that together for now. I should be able to pull this apart. I don't really have any rubber things, but just a couple small taps. Gets that off. Ooh. Ah. Look at that. That's got some pretty good grooves in it. Like, I can feel it. Yeah. I'll try to smooth some of these out with some emery cloth before it goes back on. Try to give it a little bit of life. I think they ran it too hard without oil a couple times. I'll have to keep that in mind too. Alright, we'll work our piston up. And then work our crank down. And that should free it up to come out of the top. Boy, that's a hard one. That's not wanting to come out. There it goes. Ah. Piston is out. Alright. Yeah. That's looking not the greatest. Like I said, we'll smooth it out. We're not going to town on it. As we can see, the rings, this does not have the same ring configuration that we have. So I don't know if those rings are going to work. We'll find out. Alright, well, these rings are already wore. There's no edges on them anymore. We'll throw one in the cylinder, compare the gap size with one of the new ones, and see if we get an improvement. Alright, so that is the old ring. And that's the gap that it has, which is pretty big. I mean, pretty big. Now we gotta zoom in on the crank condition. What the crank journal looks like compared to... It's probably not the greatest. Yeah, it's scored up a little bit. So anyway, that's the gap we're looking at. And I'll grab the new one and put it in, see what it looks like. Alright, well, we might be here a while. So this is going to have to be a two-parter, I think. We're going to have to visit you again because the new rings we got, oh, they just don't fit. They are quite a bit too big. There's no way that was going to go on there. No way. Alright, so we're back to grinding rings down. And that's entirely more than I had anticipated for the day. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap the video up. We're going to have to do some machining. We're going to have to get all the rings sized, fitted, gapped. Top, middle, bottom of the piston. Grind a little bit, check it, grind a little bit, check it. Once we reach a certain spot, I'll go ahead and get these marked while they're in here, and then I'll just have to call it a day. Hey, welcome back. A couple days later, I actually did get to cut those piston rings down, file them down, using this little chop saw I got from Harbor Freight. I was kind of lenient on whether or not that blade was going to be enough to cut high carbon steel rings, but it did the job, and it took a little bit to figure out how to get them clamped in there and get them cut, but they did. I took my time and did get them cut, so I would say it's a justified good purchase. I like it. It did the job. This is what they look like when they're cut. The clearance on these rings are, I mean, I did cut one just a hair over, so we're looking at like 15 thousandths on one and about 3 thousandths on another. So well within tolerance, and as you can see here, it's better than 3/16 and like, I don't know, 9/30 seconds or whatever it says. Right. So, being that they're cut down and they won't explode when I put them in now because they'd be too tight, now we can work on finishing the reassembly and getting this put back together and started today. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to gap these rings one more time to make sure I know which one's which, get those put on the cylinder, and we can get those into the compressor so that it's out of the way and it's done. Then I'm going to address the scoring that we have here. I'm just going to hit it with just a little bit of emery cloth and then clean it up real good, and then that's just going to have to be good enough. I'm not going to buy anything new. The motor's not meant to last forever, and if it does fail, hopefully it doesn't damage a whole lot, and then we can just, you know, but obviously it was ran without oil a couple times, a long duration between oil changes. It'll be alright. So we'll get that done, we'll get this cleaned up, and we're going to put you guys into fast forward for that. So enjoy the music, enjoy the tunes, and yeah, enjoy the show. Alright, now that everything's cleaned up, all I got to do is size my cylinder, or size my rings, make sure I know which one's going where. Get them put in the compressor, get everything lubed up really good for the first startup. Spray pretty much everything down with lube. Gel lube. I mean, you could use the WD-40 stuff. It's the same thing. But it's pretty much just the red tacky grease in a can. So, alright, we'll get these rings cleaned off and then put in. So this one is being paint. It's probably the top one. Just like that. It's in the cylinder. See? So I had some problems. Guarantee you without that lube it would have been more. But anyway, we're in the cylinder. Now I just gotta get the crank lined up. We did not pay attention to which way them rings pointed. The reason is because while they're in there, they're going to be turning. Part of what they do. So there's going to be moments when they're lined up, moments when they're not lined up. If you sweat it, getting them in like a certain way, they're still going to turn anyway. That's what they do. Alright. I'll get this crank turned the right way. I think we're just slightly cockeyed. Yeah, I could pull the cam out. And that would give me access to be able to turn that better. So I can lube them lifters a little bit better. Okay. Grab a hold of it. We're square enough, and that should seat right on there. It's on it. Alright, well, before we get to putting all that other stuff that's in our way back in, I go ahead and get this attached to the cam, or, you know, crank. Yeah. Alright, we're not done. But before we can get stopped, we gotta bend those tabs down so it locks it in place. kind of rotate it until we see them marks line up with each other. If they do. Yep, we're one gear off. Hold on real quick. I think we're lined up now. Yes, dot and line are lined up. I think that gear is working itself off the shaft. Not sure. That's all the way in. Now we can, I mean, we're pretty much done. We got this back installed. We got the piston put back in. Got everything moved up. So we put the gasket and the head back on. Then put the sump cover on. Throw some oil in it, and now it should start up. Just be reassembly, same thing we did before. Except this time we're going to put longer bolts on the exhaust side. So it goes on like that. So what I mean is, these are short bolts. These are long bolts. Long bolts go on the exhaust side. There are 3. 1, 2, 3. The rest of them are the same size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With the long ones on the exhaust side. Make sure our gasket's lined up. We'll start our top and bottom ones. If the gasket was in the way, it wouldn't start. Just have a gasket on it now. And the head one's there. Everybody remember what oil we used? And how much? Again, this is the used oil going back in. Like, it was pretty good. And it will be fine for startup. At least it's got oil. Alright. Alright, we'll just give it a couple pumps. Make sure it's gonna move. Ooh, shit. That's hard. Alright. That should be good. We're only going to run it for a couple seconds. Just enough for it to get warm and improve that startup. Get it for you guys. And then, yeah. Alright, we got gas, we got spark. We're ready to run this engine. Try to get this cord out of the way. Like, this is great for you guys, bad for me. Alright, cord's out of the way. 2 hands on the drill, ready to pull back in case of an emergency. I am free to run. Alright, ready to go. There we go. Let me crank it. Get some of that heat out of it.